Finally, Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo 16 is here, and it hits harder than ever as hidden powers awaken and the battle takes a shocking turn. This chapter pushes the story into a darker, more intense phase you won't forget. The story begins with a dark revelation about Yuka Okotsu. She has only been permitted to use a specific application of a technique that allows her to draw out the abilities of certain Shikigami. This is the 10 Shadows technique, a hereditary cursed technique passed down through the Zen-In clan, one of the former Big Three sorcerer families. It allows the user to summon Shikigami using shadows as an intermediary, but it is currently considered a forbidden technique within the Gojo clan. The ritual has strict rules. It can only be manifested in a jujutsu battle through an exorcism ritual by dragging the target into the ritual itself. Now the participants in this deadly ceremony are revealed. Facing the legendary 8-handled sword divergent Scylla divine General Mahoraga is Dborah Karaba. The stakes are impossibly high. Among all the 10 Shadows Shikigami, Mahoraga is said to be the only one impossible to tame. No sorcerer in history has ever succeeded, with the sole exception of Ryomen Sukuna. The situation is dire. Yuka Okotsu is already in a state of suspended death. The rules of the ritual are absolute. Only Dborah's death or the destruction of Mahoraga will end the ritual. If Dborah fails, Yuka Okotsu will die as well. Suddenly, the environment begins to crack under the pressure. Shatter! The ground breaks apart as the monster fully manifests. Dborah stands calm, watching the beast. But then, kink! The golden wheel on Mahoraga's back clicks into motion. Snap! The sound signals the start of the slaughter. Dborah's eyes widen as the creature moves instantly. The battle explodes into violence. Graham! Mahoraga strikes with terrifying force, its blade arm crashing down. Cratch! Dborah intercepts the blow, the impact shaking the air around them. He realizes he cannot stay still. Whip! He moves with blinding speed, dodging a follow-up strike that would have cleaved him in two. Vwim! Dborah spins in midair, creating distance to reassess his enemy. Dborah lands gracefully on the side of a skyscraper, Timp, defying gravity. He doesn't give the monster a moment to breathe. Wint! A high-pitched sound rises as he charges his cursed energy, a targeting reticle appearing over his hand. He locks on to the beast. Flash! Just as Mahoraga lunges forward with a demonic grin, Dborah unleashes his technique. Whom! A massive beam of pure energy tears through the city, obliterating the building Mahoraga was standing on. Rumble! The structure collapses in a cloud of dust. The attack connects perfectly. Spurt! Black cursed blood sprays into the air as Mahoraga takes the hit directly. But even as its body is blown back, the ominous sound returns. Kink! The wheel turns. The adaptation has begun. Mahoraga slams into the ruins with a heavy thud, but it's not finished. Boom! It explodes out of the debris, completely ignoring the damage. It digs its claws into the concrete, tearing through the environment to get to Dborah. Crack! The city is being torn apart as the monster rampages, forcing Dborah to stay on the move. Dborah retreats, his mind racing as he analyzes the threat. It has some kind of ability, he thinks. It's not just some indestructible doll made to fight in place of a jujutsu sorcerer. He senses something deeper about its nature. Given the matter of the cursed spirits, this type of spiritual being must be part of Earth's unique cursed energy system. She summoned a spiritual being. There is no time to think. Iveen! Mahoraga charges through the smoke faster than before. Its eyes glow with malicious light. They clash again, the shockwave shattering windows for blocks. Blood and debris fly as Dborah realizes his attacks are losing their effect. The monster is learning. Suddenly, the world shifts. Clang! The wheel turns again. The night sky and the city skyline are crisscrossed by blinding white lines of light. The adaptation is complete. Mahoraga's influence is now cutting through the very space around them. The narrator reveals the terrifying truth of the Zenin clan's cherished treasure. Divergent Scylla Divine General Mahoraga has a specific ability. Dborah realizes it too late. Its wheel. It keeps adjusting, rotating to my cursed technique, he understands with horror. Then it immediately recovers afterward. The beast hasn't just healed, it has adapted. Dborah's techniques will no longer work. The scene opens with emphasis on the scale of the threat. This is the ultimate counterattack. Describing the terrifying nature of the Shikigami Mahoraga, its purpose is to adapt to any and all phenomena. The visuals remind us that the wheel has turned, and the adaptation is active. The perspective shifts abruptly to a new confrontation. A voice calls out, identifying a technique or a turn of events. This is crosses. In the next moment, surprise registers in the dialogue. Didn't know you could use a sword. The action is punctuated by the sharp sound of a blade moving as the battle transitions into high-speed swordplay. The clash begins instantly. Sparks fly as weapons collide. A close-up shows a character's eyes widening in shock, realizing the weight of the blow. The fighters separate with a blur of motion, creating distance. As the dust settles, the protagonist's internal monologue analyzes the opponent, Tsurugi. When Yuka first told me about his strength, I had my doubts, but now that we're actually fighting, it makes sense. He realizes the truth. Now I understand. This power comes at a cost, in exchange for giving up his cursed energy and cursed technique. He concludes that, so these are the extraordinary physical abilities Tsurugi gained due to his heavenly restriction. The analysis continues, breaking down the mechanics of the fight. A question is posed. Q. How is this different from physical reinforcement through cursed energy? The answer reveals the tactical nightmare of fighting a heavenly restriction user. A. Because he has no cursed energy, his movements cannot be read through the flow of cursed energy. In the heat of the battle, the protagonist feels the pressure. The opponent moves with ghostly silence. The protagonist thinks, every single attack feels like an ambush until I can adjust to it. He acknowledges the danger. This is going to be trouble. The fight evolves. The sword swings again. The narrator explains how Tsurugi compensates for his lack of energy, and Tsurugi wields jujutsu by making use of the cursed energy found elsewhere. Specifically, his cursed tool is imbued with power. The protagonist admits his misconception. I thought it was just like an auxiliary tool since he can't wield cursed energy on his own. The rhythm of the battle is unique. The way Tsurugi manages the pace of a jujutsu battle is totally different from any other sorcerer. Another heavy step lands. The protagonist reasons. It probably depends on the grade of the tool, of course, but still. He realizes a critical advantage. But now I get it. Cursed tools don't run out of cursed energy. The sound of a blade piercing or landing. A massive impact rocks the area. The conversation turns to the stakes of the ritual. The protagonist asserts, so if Dborah leaves Earth, then the ritual Yuka staked her life on will become void. A voice replies, even if it's just Dborah who leaves, that's fine. They theorize on the mechanics. I doubt the range of a curse technique can extend beyond the planet, just like with his sister's death curse. The protagonist issues a challenge. Let's have a duel with those conditions. He addresses his opponent directly. Maru, if I win, leave Earth. They discuss the hopelessness of other options. It'd be different if the curse could be undone with the black rope, but there's no time for that now, right? The urgency is clear. He's involved in the conditions of that curse on his sister, too. They conclude, Dborah won't ever go back to Simuria. The sound of a weapon being readied. The reasoning is final. It's too dangerous for Dborah to go back into the range of the Descente chieftain's curse technique, even if it's just him alone. The protagonist activates a technique, simple domain, maculation. He looks at Maru with intensity and asks, are you a warrior, aren't you? Flashbacks of friends appear as he admits his fear. But I'm afraid to lose my friends too. He apologizes mentally. I'm sorry, Dborah. I understand now what it's like to be on the verge of losing your own sibling. Suddenly, he calls out Maru's hesitation. You held back, didn't you? You didn't fight with your full power. Maru lies on the ground, looking up. The protagonist scolds him. And you call yourself a warrior? Maru explains his hesitation. I don't want anyone else to get hurt or to die. The protagonist tightens his grip on his sword, offended on behalf of Tsurugi. Will you really insult Tsurugi like that? He steals his resolve. Tsurugi, fine, I'll fight with the intent of killing you. He delivers a final warning. Try not to die. The world suddenly twists. The protagonist shouts in confusion. We're flipped? The perspective is inverted, disorienting the fighters. The narration reveals the nature of this final clash. Maru and Cross's cursed techniques are chaos and harmony. The chapter ends with the two forces colliding in a distorted reality.